I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review. Today we're going to be talking about a movie from 1980. It's another little gory little gem. This one is Zombie Holocaust. It has an alternate title called Dr. Butcher, Medical Deviant. This is a gory little gem, and it kind of gets overlooked here. Jason, would you like to talk about the plot a little bit?
This movie starts out almost like every other Italian cannibal movie. Where else? New York City.
And I don't know what it is. They must have this base for something, but you are correct. It's like everything has to open up in New York City.
I know, it's just because it's an Italian movie. But anyway, starts out in New York City, some hospital, and they're having a bit of a problem.
Body parts are disappearing from cadavers. And they're trying to keep this on the download here because it's like they don't want the hospital to get a lot of bad publicity, which that would, inconvenience the hell out of you for sure. So you go in, you get checked in, and all of a sudden they leave the room and come back and there's somebody with their chest ripped open and their heart's missing. Or they're teaching up and coming new doctors and having a brief anatomy lesson and realize that the arm has been severed from a body. So they're trying to keep this problem on the down low, as you would.
And then they set up like a little trap to try to catch whoever's doing this, and sure enough, it works. But the person, instead of getting caught, jumps out the window and dies.
Which, rational thing to do.
Well, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, he's holding a human heart and he's getting ready to take a bite out of it. Somebody leans in to grab him and just to detain him, and all of a sudden he runs because I guess maybe he realized it wasn't lunchtime yet and he didn't want to get reprimanded for that. So he goes and just tosses himself right out the goddamn window.
Then this is going on in other hospitals too, not just the one that is shown in the movie. But when the guy dies from jumping out the window, he has a little symbol on his chest. Well, the one lady recognizes that symbol. It's from some island where she grew up at. Yeah,
she's an anthropologist as another interest, and she has a doctorate as well as medical science. And she recognized this symbol is known as Quito, which is somewhere off in, I want to say, like east or somewhere out east, wherever the hell it is. So they end up having a little discussion of what to do here because they've noticed the symbol on somebody else as well. So they send a team over to these islands to investigate it, where there, lo and behold, they kind of encounter cannibal tribes, but they also meet another renowned surgeon who is residing out there and is doing these medical experiments on the natives, Dr. Obrero.
Yeah, and then the cannibals are afraid of these zombies. Well, that's sort of debatable to me if they're zombies or not, because that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because they were more or less genetically mutated that way through experiments. Dr. Obrero almost trying to come up with a form of almost like a Frankenstein type complex where he wants to transplant somebody's brain from one body to another, have them die, come back to life, and then just say, tell me how it is. He wants to kind of do these wicked and sadistic experiments here. And they end up coming across the cannibals, lose some members of their own party in the mix here. And they almost try to befriend Dr. Obrero because he seems like he's very, hospitable to them. He puts them up for the night. He's giving them fluids. Hey, stay here, but stay out of the jungle at nighttime. And then he ends up trying to experiment on them.
Yes.
And one thing that I did like here is that there was one little scene there where he has her laying on the table and she's screaming. And he's dictating everything he's going to do. He's recording the whole surgery himself. And he's ends up performing the removal of her vocal cords when it's screaming just because it's so that irritating to him. And I just thought that was a cool little gory scene. So he ended up snipping off her vocal cords.
Yeah, you're a fan of Gore, man. This movie, it's awesome. I mean, And this movie don't slow down really. I mean, from
No.
start to the opening scene, you're seeing a hand getting cut off, and it's just nonstop gore in this movie.
And that's it. You get a lot of that, especially with the Italian movies. You do see a lot of gore for sure. But I like how you mentioned earlier that everyone has to open up in New York City.
I know from some of the movies I've seen, Eaten Alive, Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox,
All taking place in New York City.
Place in New York City.
Even Lucio Fulci's Zombie. That opened up in New York City and end up going to a primitive, just another island, basically.
We even have some cast members who zombie in this movie.
Yes. Ian McCulloch, I believe, was the actor's name who was in this. He was also in Zombie Holocaust, and you're right, he was in Lucio Fulci's Zombie too.
And the special effects in this movie, I think most of them is pretty top notch for practical effects.
I love practical effects. The scene where they had the actual boat propeller just smash in his own face and it just crushes his head, really top notch for practical effects.
And there's a pretty good some throat slashing here too.
Yes,
effects.
lots of blood spraying, throat slashing.
And it's not the cheesy stuff where you see the knife and there's this thing of blood. You actually see like the ripping going.
Oh, it just spews. For sure.
People disemboweled.
It is. And almost like when he's running through the jungle there when they're being chased by the cannibals, as they come up almost like this guerrilla warfare trap where it's this bamboo and it comes into a real sharp point just as this, and he ends up getting impaled on it and can't run. Really gory stuff here to be seen in this movie. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about Zombie Holocaust?
Another thing I want to mention is if you were in the hospital and this was going on, wouldn't you, try to fix the problem in your area, to nip it in the butt? These people send them to a goddamn island. What are they supposed to do?
You're right.
What are they supposed to do when they get there?
I'm glad you brought that point up, because what the hell did you expect to happen? It sounded like they had a death wish on. It's like, well, you guys know the secret. Bon voyage, assholes. We won't see you anymore.
It's a B cheesy movie. I love it for what it is, but my mind is sometimes going, it's like, well, why are they going there? What are they going to do when they get there? Are they going to find the cannibals? Listen here, guys. You come back to our hospital, and I got to come back here. I ain't going to be so nice. Well, see you later. And what are they going to do?
Are they just going to look at him and say, hey, quit it. You know what I mean? Knock it off. But what were they going to send back? A full case report? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's cannibals. We're lucky to make it alive. So how was your weekend? You're right. That is kind of like far-fetched and a little absurd when you think about it.
But it's definitely an entertaining movie. Entertaining.
Oh, it is, without a doubt. So, I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review.